State Representative Matt Shaheen, Republican of Plano, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And today is the last day of special session number 1. We're speaking on Tuesday. And my question is, are you ready for special session 2?
I definitely am. The Republican caucus, I think most members of the House are ready. We fully expect the governor to call us back, and we'll have 30 days to work on whatever priorities the governor calls out for the special session.
What do you make of this ongoing, continued back and forth between the governor, lieutenant governor, to some extent the Speaker of the House, over this impasse, this standoff over property tax relief?
Well, look, both chambers are calling out property taxes as a priority. The citizens of Texas want it, and we'll end up getting there. I think the two chambers are a lot closer than people might think. But during a special session, the dynamics change. The governor has a lot more power during a special session, so he can dictate what kind of property taxes that we actually can pass. So we'll see what kind of what he places on the call with respect to property taxes. On the first special session, the governor called out property tax relief solely based on reducing the rate. That's what the House did. And so we'll just see what he puts on the call, but I think you'll see the House will follow the lead of the governor.
Do you think that the governor will do that again this time, or do you think he's going to leave it up to the House and Senate to figure it out?
You know, we'll see. The governor and the House really have a long-term view with respect to property tax. There's a desire by both the governor and I think the majority of the members in the Texas House to actually one day get rid of what we call the M&O ISD property taxes. So remember, your school property taxes are made up of debt and M&O, and that M&O is kind of your daily expenses. And the idea is to eventually get rid of that piece of the property tax and fully fund it with state funds. So we'll see. But again, my suspicion is it'll be geared more towards reducing the property tax rates.
As you know, the Senate and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has really sharply criticized Speaker Dade Phelan and House members for, passing the bills and declaring sine die and leaving town, and not giving them an opportunity to work with the House on a compromise. What's your reaction to that?
Well, again, during special sessions, the governor has a lot more authority, a lot more power, and he dictates the parameters of what's on the call, that what we can actually consider on the floor of the House and pass. And so the governor's direction was very clear. He wanted property tax relief in the form of reduced rates. That's what the House did. We got the job done, and we sent it over to the Senate.
Did it surprise you that the governor was very specific when he called the special session over what he wanted to see on property tax relief? Because during the regular legislative session, the governor did not give a prescription on what he wanted to see. He left it up to the House and Senate. He, on discussions with chambers of commerce and even out on the campaign trail months before that, he said, we're going to do it. We're going to provide Texans with record property tax relief, but he didn't offer a specific plan on how he wanted it done. So did this change surprise you and other colleagues of yours in the House?
Not really. We had the full session, the 140 days, to talk about property tax relief and what the forms should be. And there was a lot of debate. House Ways and Means Chairman Morgan Meyer did an exceptional job as far as guiding those discussions. We had a vigorous debate in committee on the floor, and both chambers did. And just the House landed on really what we could see that the governor was interested in, but also just as important, what we were hearing from our constituents. And so, again, this concept of more of a long-term view that I think the Texas House and the governor is taking, I think is what will end up prevailing.
How do you see this ending? Because, the lieutenant governor says he's not backing down. The full Senate said that they're not backing down. They voted just like the House unanimously. And so I'm wondering, how do you see this ending? Does it require the governor, lieutenant governor, and the speaker to all get into a room and hash it out, figure out a compromise?
Sure. I think at the end of the day, my guess is that's probably happening as we speak. Remember, one of the things that the House has done is we formed a select committee to look at this issue. We're going to look at a bunch of different options for both reducing property taxes and this long-term view that I keep talking about as far as eliminating some of the property taxes that are out there as well. I mean, you have our friend from West Texas, Dustin Burrows, talking about placing limits on the growth of property taxes, the individual property taxes of the different entities of 7.5%. So I think there's going to be a lot of dialogue out there, but I think at the end of the day, it'll be the speaker, lieutenant governor, and the governor that will just continue to have a discussion. While at the same time, in parallel, during that special session, there'll be a healthy debate and dialogue as well.
Has all of this dialogue and the back and forth and the bickering between the top three, has that hurt Republicans?
I don't think so. You know that at the end of the day, if you look at the previous sessions, the House and the Senate towards the end of session start battling. So this really isn't anything new. Look, the Republican Party has healthy debates. And we're having one as we speak. But again, because of Republican policies, we've been blessed by the people of Texas to be the majority party in the state of Texas now for almost 2 decades. And the results are in. We're actually, our economy, our Texas economy, the opportunity in our state, we have a safe state. We're now sitting on this massive surplus because we now have the 9th largest economy in the world. So we're looking at what's the best way to provide property tax relief, right? So, at the end of the day, if we're going to have a debate on something, deciding on how to get property tax relief, that's a great debate to have.
Isn't a solution basically just giving everybody what they want, in the sense of give the Senate what they want, a homestead exemption, increasing it to 100,000, giving the House what it wanted, lowering the cap a little bit, and then also maybe coming up with some solution to gradually buy down the property tax over a 10, 12, whatever year period it is, to eliminate the M&O tax, the maintenance and operation tax portion of the school property tax bill?
You've seen that actually. I mean, the Texas House has passed 3 different versions of property tax relief. So we've been giving, if you will, during those negotiations. If you remember, we had appraisal caps and the like. And so we actually have been negotiating and trying to do a give and take approach. We're just at the point now where we're in special session. We had a great regular session. We passed a lot of important legislation. It's just going to take a special session to look at property taxes. But again, if you look at the Texas House and the way we've conducted ourselves with respect to negotiations with the Senate, we have been giving, we have been negotiating.
I also wanted to ask you a last question on this topic. How confident are you that a deal is going to be reached on property tax relief in the next session?
I have a high level of confidence that we'll get it done. I think members of both chambers know if it doesn't get done in the next 30 days, that the governor will just call us back for another special session. And at the end of the day, we need to get back to our districts, live under the laws that we recently passed. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to get property tax relief. My hope is we head down a path where we're eventually eliminating the M&O school tax, but we'll see. But I'm highly confident this next session that we'll get the job done.
I also wanted to ask you about a different topic. I was speaking with members of the House LGBTQ caucus, and they were not happy. They were dismayed by the 3 big bills this session: Senate Bill 12, sexually oriented performances, basically not allowing any children under age 18 to be attending those. Senate Bill 14, gender modification, again, not having anyone under 18 having either surgery or hormone therapy that would lead to a change in gender. And then also Senate Bill 15, which was requiring collegiate athletes in public colleges and universities to compete only against their biological sex. And so they felt as if the LGBTQ community is being targeted. How do you respond to that accusation?
There's no targeting at all. I was the House sponsor of SB 12, which protected children from sexually oriented performances. Look, these aren't debatable outside the Capitol. Nobody, hardly anybody, wants this type of trash in front of our children. Nobody wants sexual performances in front of our children. Hardly anybody. Any common sensitive individual does not want a child changing their gender. I mean, the Democratic Party, I think, really needs to be careful. A lot of its more extreme base is getting more and more of a hold of the party. These are very common sense. The vast majority of Texans agree with these positions. At the end of the day, the Republican Party and the vast majority of members in the Texas legislature, we're going to do everything we can to protect children.
State Representative Matt Shaheen of Plano, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Jack.